How good is JoJo's Part 2 Battle Tendency? Joseph Joestar was the main character, and a really good main character for this part. He was fun, silly, and energetic, but also confident, prideful, and determined. He was a very charismatic character. At times he would say to others, he knows what they'll say next, and then say what they were going to say before they said it, which is pretty cool and unique. He also uses a lot of tricks on his opponents. The character he works with during this part is Caesar Zebli, and he's a good character as well. Has a lot of similar traits to Joseph, except he's not as silly and is someone who tries to treat people with respect, but can be rude. Joseph and Caesar don't get along at first, but after a while they get used to each other and a lot of the time can get along. The Pillarmen are the main villains of this part. During the beginning especially, and then a few more times during the rest of the part, Joseph will take on some minor villains, which are vampires. A moment during this part that makes you really get into it and like Joseph is during the beginning when he's taking on a vampire and he's still okay after being in a crazy accident Joseph made him get into. Joseph says he has a plan and knows what to do because the vampire's legs are damaged while his are perfectly fine, and then says run for your life and starts running away with another character, which is Smokey. This part is very colorful and has an art style that I really like. The part knows when to have a silly moment or be emotional and even dark, because during this part it always had a dark tone with there being vampires and the Pillarmen. This part did a really good job at showing how Joseph and Caesar's friendship with each other built over time very quickly. When they first meet the Pillarmen, when the Pillarmen come back from being rock after thousands of years, they walk through one of Caesar's friends, splitting him in half, making Caesar extremely angry and sad and wanting revenge on the Pillarmen. But he also shows how much he cares for his friend, and it shows how much he always is trying to be caring for people close to him, as well as be respectful. Caesar tries to go up against the Pillarmen, but doesn't have much success, as one of them, Whammoo, puts an end to his attack real fast, and then doesn't see him as a threat, so tries to keep going with the other two Pillarmen, AC/DC and Karse. But Joseph Joestar lets it be known that he's the other hormone user, and starts trying to go up against Whammoo. Using his tricks and acting silly, he manages to land some hits. However, Whammoo was way out of his league and ends up trying to let Joseph go, but Joseph isn't letting him go because Whammoo is wanting Joseph to become more powerful and then fight him when he's more powerful and reaches his potential. But since Joseph is not stopping, he goes after Joseph. After he follows him and some stuff happens, this is when the deal was made for Joseph and Caesar to fight the Pillarmen after a month, to let Joseph and Caesar train to get better. The Pillarmen were really good characters for this part. They were powerful, intimidating, all had slightly different appearances and personalities, and a really good theme song. Joseph and Caesar train with their coach, Lisa. Joseph didn't even know this, but Lisa is actually his mom, which adds more intensity to the storyline. And then eventually, Caesar gets into a fight and argument with Joseph and goes to fight the Pillarmen on his own. Goes up against Whammoo and loses his life in a very close fight. Once Joseph and Lisa find him, they're extremely sad and emotional about what happened to Caesar. And it shows how Joseph had built a connection with Caesar over time. And Caesar left a gift for Joseph, which Whammoo knew Caesar left for Joseph, but let it stay there because Whammoo respected Caesar as a warrior. AC/DC was the first Pillarman to go pretty fast before Caesar died, which Joseph fought and beat. And it was a really good fight. It was surprising. There was a lot of plot twists and also tricks that Joseph did, though it was very entertaining. At this point, Joseph and Lisa are now set to fight Whammoo and Karse. When they fight, Joseph beats Whammoo, and then Lisa is set up to fight Karse. Joseph beats him, and at the end of their fight, it shows how Whammoo was a true warrior and respects other warriors. They both respected each other after the fight. Wamuu was probably the most likable Pillarman during this part. After Karst was supposed to fight Lisa, but cheated and didn't actually fight her because he made a double of himself during the fight and then came out of nowhere and stabbed Lisa. And then it was just Joseph against Karst. Joseph eventually beat him, and this was a very long fight against Joseph and Karst because Karst then ended up coming back. Joseph won an airplane and flew away when Karst was revived and was even more powerful, now had wings and the red stone, making him more powerful. Chased Joseph down. They eventually fly into a volcano and Karst is the only one who goes fully in it, into the lava, but yet again still comes back, chopping Joseph's hand off, but then again finally manages to beat Karst. So the fight against Karst was very long, very unexpected, and entertaining. Karst was probably the most powerful JoJo villain there ever was, and just character in general, but he's now stuck frozen in outer space. The moment at the end is actually pretty funny when everyone thinks Joseph is dead from the fight against the Pillarmen, but then he comes to the funeral and everyone is so shocked. The reason though that they thought he was dead is because he was gone for 2 weeks and they didn't get his telegram. Overall, this was just an amazing JoJo part. Whether it was the characters, the tone, it could be emotional, it could be silly, it could be fun, it could be dark, like I mentioned before. The minor villains and the main villains were both really good. The art style and how colorful it was. And Joseph Joestar was just overall a really good character. My only complaint about this part is I wish it was longer since it was so good. And Caesar didn't die so soon since I liked his character. But other than that, this was a great JoJo part. It's my favorite, tied with another JoJo part, and it's for sure one of the best JoJo parts. Battle Tendency is a part you can just watch over and over again so many times. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.